false statements that you are accusing me of, and I have a right to defend them.
You know what? Freedom of speech is one thing, Craig.
You said that everybody in the world, and that is simply untrue. The medical bodies in India use ivermectin. They have it in their standard protocol.
Craig.
I've seen a study recently published, a peer-reviewed study in the American Journal of Medicine that has a treatment protocol that includes both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. So to say that there's no medical body in the world that approves this, I'm sorry, is incorrect.
He's right. It's disputed, but he's right. And sometimes you have to stand up and fight, just like Craig Kelly did. Langdon didn't back down because she was wrong, however. Like all good 21st century TV hosts, she kept right on going, saying she'd conducted her research, which she clearly hadn't done if she's missing the studies that it took me less than an hour to find and which I just shared with you. The consensus does not support those studies, but they are real studies and they are valid in the mix of the scientific debate. Instead of a balanced, objective approach, Ms. Langdon did what so many left-wingers do when they're losing an argument. They go for the emotional win and play the man instead of the ball.
Craig, we have seen deaths from COVID, we've seen sickness, we've seen mass job losses, hundreds of billions of dollars spent in government stimulus. All our hopes are riding on a vaccine. You need to be quiet.
Well, if you don't want to listen to our most senior qualified
I am listening to them, and I think you need to start listening to our scientists and our doctors, Craig.
Our scientist is our most senior qualified immunologist in this country, Professor
Craig.
Robert Clancy, and you are not listening to him. I'm sorry.
No worries, Craig. You're in a position of responsibility, and I think you're failing in that
and
duty.
I'll continue to speak the truth and tell the truth.
It'd be nice if you started.
If the media want to
Thank you.
misrepresent my position, I'm going to come on and I'm going to defend it, because I will not have slander and smear and said against me when the facts are incorrect.
Okay, Craig.
The immunologist Robert Clancy is an emeritus professor from the University of Newcastle, Australia. That's the expert that Kelly was trying to explain to Tanya Plibersek was the main source for his comments. So ABC Radio Newcastle interviewed Professor Clancy this week, and he backed Mr. Kelly.
On that issue, and you know, there are many issues that Mr. Kelly has that I don't understand, but on that issue, my view is he's absolutely right, that there's overwhelming evidence that hydroxychloroquine works. The studies now are just under 20,000 patients, and these are not counting the country studies, because many countries are using these across the board. But the important thing is that it's used in very early disease. It's like treating any viral illness. As I understand it, Mr. Kelly has actually followed a lot of the literature, and I think he understands that, because when he says that hydroxychloroquine has a place in early treatment, I would think there are many people around the world, very, very senior people across the world, that would totally agree with that. And then I think his other drug is ivermectin, and that's a drug that came in a little later. And it missed the political turmoil that hydroxychloroquine got tied up with when Trump used it. And that's been gaining ground, and the recent data that's coming out for that it's really very persuasive, and many countries now are picking this up.
And that was Professor Robert Clancy, the immunologist referenced by MP Craig Kelly. He's an emeritus professor of the University of Newcastle. Science is complex. It evolves. It is not always black and white. But for the Labor lovies in Australia now, it seems that we cannot even debate or discuss science anymore. The science is settled. I mean, science always agrees 100% on everything. When in history has scientific consensus ever been found to be wrong? We have to go with the best science that we have at any given moment in time. And that's why a study on ivermectin, and yes, more studies on hydroxychloroquine and all of the vaccines, are so necessary. So please, dear politicians and government officials, could you kindly stop treating Australians like we're all children? Thank you.